video is going to be how to colorize, let's say, macarons, for example. So these macarons over here from this photo shoot, they're just ceramic. We actually made them out of with clay, and then we fired them to have, like, you know, reusable props every year. So this here is a RAW file, is a CR2 file. That is a Canon RAW file. If you're using Nikon, it is NEF file. These are RAW files. So RAW file lets you colorize things and do all kinds of weird and wacky things to your images much better than a JPEG image ever will. Okay?
So can you throw as well? Are those macarons?
You can't eat those macarons. They're ceramic.
Does that mean I can throw it at someone?
You can throw it at someone, it will really hurt them.
Is it
Yeah.
good?
I wouldn't recommend eating them either because they're quite tough on your teeth, you know.
Break when you throw it from one
Okay, so I'm just going to right click on this and I'm going to open this one up with Photoshop. Remember, we are recording this. Okay, so we're in Camera Raw right now. So Camera Raw lets you do all kinds of whiz-fangle things.
Oh, yeah, you can color grade.
Yeah, so I can color grade it. I can change this to, let's see how it works as daylight. No. Let's see how it works on the flash. No, it doesn't look good at all. So we're going to do a custom white balance, and we know that this background is white in this photo itself. If you have your own scene, you know, at home or what have you, you need to use a grey card. So if you want a cheap grey card, go to Bunnings and get the paint sample swatch called Tranquil Retreat, and it is as close to grey as possible. It's pretty good. Okay. Tranquil Retreat it is. Okay, so here I'm just going to fix up my white areas. So I'm going to bring my white up to quite high here, and I'm going to bring my blacks down so that the blacks, if you're looking at the histogram, the blacks are just touching. That arrow needs to turn to white, it does. So you see here, this is the black and this is the white part of my document. And it's mainly white. The data is mainly in the white because this whole area is white, and the macarons are white as well. The whole idea of this is that you really do need a grey card in the shot as well, so you can get a good reference point of what is actually grey and what is a mid-tone. This looks all right. I could do a few other odds and sods, but since this is such a basic sort of thing here, we will leave it at that. I'm just going to click on Open right now. And so it's opened up in Photoshop, and I'm just going to make Photoshop nice and big. Okay, so we have our macarons here. We want to colorize these macarons. First of all, these wooden blocks are going to be taken out from the entire shot. So we could isolate them right from the start, or we could do that at the end. I'm preferring here to do this at the end. Is that okay? Now, my question to the student is are these macarons the same flavour, or are they different flavours? Decision time. Same flavour? What flavour are they?
Chocolate.
You don't know? Let's make them as like, let's say, peppermint ones. I don't know, a strawberry flavour macarons. Do they exist, strawberry? Yeah. Okay, cool. So what we'll do here is we keep the background as normal. So I'm not going to be modifying or destroying image data. Okay? It's very important to understand this. We're going to be using these things here, okay? So we're going to be using things such as, we'll be using things such as a solid colour, for example, and we're going to choose a solid colour. So let's say we're going to choose our sort of pinky colour for our strawberry one, and let's try and make one that's a little bit more, this one's a little bit more orange. And click on OK. Our macarons have disappeared. Now remember, this here is a layer that can be modified at any time. But if I go over to our screen mode here, I go to multiply, for example, it's changing color. Okay, so I pick the one that is going to be the most appropriate for mine, and you either use overlay or you can use multiply for it, and it works out quite well. I'm quite liking multiply on this, so I select on multiply. Cool. Now I'm just going to zoom in, so I'm going to press Z. I'm going to zoom into mine. Now the middle of the macaron, this little bit here, is where the white cream is in the macaron. Normally it's just like a white cream base. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take away this red from this. Now this part here is called a mask. So if I paint in black, it's going to remove the color. Do you understand that? Yes? So if I'm going to zoom right into here, I can either use the paintbrush tool, which is really big at the moment. Let's reduce it down in size. Make it a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller still. All right, and I'm going to now paint in roughly. Now you need to sort of be a little bit more sort of haphazard with it because nothing is completely straight. I could use curves to do this, okay, but the curves are going to make this whole thing really straight and too accurate, okay. Now my paintbrush right at the moment is to the hardness of 0, so I might bring my hardness up to 50%, so it's a little bit more of a straight edge on this. So you see this coming together now? Yes, so imagine if I did this whole thing. Okay, I'm just going to zoom out and you'll see that that part there is nice and white. Let's say if I did this towards the whole thing. Okay, that's how you do that. Is that cool? Sweet. Now I want to isolate these macarons. So what I can do is I can do it a few different ways. What I like to do is I like to create a folder, and I'm going to move this color into here, this background into here as well. Background, I'm just going to double click on it, change it to layer 0, and also bring it up into this group here. And I'm going to bring this one here down. Oh, it needs to belong to this group. What's going on? It is in that group. It is in that group. Okay, so this group, I can name this here M for macaron, and I'm going to now going to use the pen tool to isolate all this. Okay, I could use a pen tool, or could even use a thing called quick selection mask. Okay, sorry. You can do things a little bit better than the wand. This is like the old school method of doing this one here, quick selection tool, and I can go around and I can start selecting this like that. I can do it like that. That's very quick and sort of haphazard. So you see this actually starting to do its thing. It's a bit sort of smart. It sort of ends up doing its thing properly, but sometimes it needs a bit of help. Right, so it takes you a bit of time to do that. But what it does gives you a bit more of, I'd say a little bit more of a quicker sort of fluidity to it. If you just use the pen tool to create a path, a clipping path, it wouldn't be as believable because it's not so organic. Yeah? Do you understand this to a certain extent? Okay. So watch my other videos and you'll see that the clipping path method is good for some situations, not for every situation. So you can go around here and you can select that like this. Okay, you can go right around here. Okay. Obviously this one's not really working too well just there. It takes some time. In fact, I might edit this out a little bit so that passing time doesn't really happen. Okay, I might just show you one, I'll just show you one macaron so that you can see what's going to happen, okay? Is that cool? I'm just pressing the Alt button to remove the selection from bits and pieces. It's not really behaving itself too well, but it starts to, after you have a bit of a session with the Option button and adding to it. Yeah, it's very close to the same color. So that's not really working too well. I might actually stop doing that, remove the selection, and I might have to now go to Paths. So I go over to Paths tab here, and I click on a new path. Okay, and then I go over to the pen tool, which is over here. And what I do here is I need to zoom right in. So it's nice and big on your screen, and use the pen tool, which is the shortcut key for that is P, and you can click and drag like that The reason why I'm clicking and dragging is I can actually do really nice smooth curves. See how this section is all nice and smooth curved? So I can actually do that as well. Okay? And it takes some time to figure out how to use the path tool, but by far it's a lot more superior and probably a lot quicker than doing that quick selection tool. Hey? Yeah. So it's pretty quick. This is by far my favourite method. It takes a little bit longer sometimes, but you're guaranteed to get this all working nice and accurately. The trick with this is that you zoom in as much as possible and you come in from the edge slightly, like about 2 pixels in from the edge when you do this, okay? Okay, so that's all selected there now. So I've just got one macaron and we'll finish one macaron off, okay? Is that cool? So this is now a path. I need to convert this path to a selection. So this is the thing here to select to convert into a selection. I go over to my layers palette over here and I've got my folder selected right here. I now go over to this button here, which is a mask, and it converts it into a mask. It's isolated this macaron. Cool so far?
What if it comes out inverted?
Hey?
What if it comes out inverted?
Inverted?
Yeah.
Because you've drawn right around the object itself, it's not inverted. But if it's inverted, you go to select and then invert the selection. Yeah? Okay, so from here, you can actually now bring that, the solid color back in again, and then change it to red. So somehow the red stopped working. And I've got here multiply. So I've got my nice, beautiful red macaron. So much liginal was used in this. Okay, it's not funny. I go back and I start painting in again my sort of white custardy thing in there. Okay, so you can do that all nice and a lot more accurately than I'm doing right now. Okay, and the beauty of this is that you have not modified that base layer, the original. So if I disable all this stuff, it comes back together again. Is that cool? So it's using non-destructive editing methods. Okay? Is this okay? Yes? So this is achievable. The macaron's really full on red. You can tone it down a little bit so you can bring the opacity down of that. Well, no, you can't. You can adjust it here. Yeah, you can adjust it down so it's not as red, a little bit more believable. Yeah? Is that better? Okay. So you can do that. You can also change the color of that cream as well too. Does that help? Yes, no? Okay, thank you everyone. Goodbye.